Hello everybody. In this video lecture we are going to analyze and we will try to understand the poem Night of the Scorpion by Nissim Ezekiel. It is a poem in which he has tried to chronicle the events of one night, the night when the scorpion bit the mother of the narrator. Now, the narrator can be the poet or the narrator can be the first person narrator which has been depicted or presented by the poet. So let us first see the introduction or some of the points that we need to understand before we actually start reading the poem. So the first thing definitely which we must consider is the fact that this poem is written in free verse, which was actually the preferable style of Ezekiel whenever he was writing his later poetry. Especially he just did away with the constraints of rhyme and line length. So basically, what is a free verse? A free verse is a kind of poem in which the poet does not have any rhyme scheme, anything fixed. So maybe there is a little bit of rhyme scheme, but not in this poem. And also the line length, it varies. So there is nothing specific about the length of different lines of the poem. So that is why it is called a free verse. So this is the kind of poem that we are going to read today. The Night of the Scorpion was a part of the collection or the book which was titled The Exact Name, and it was published in 1965. So that is the information that you must know. It is a poem of 8 stanzas and there are 47 lines in all. And it has been written in a very easy language. It is more descriptive. It gives a lot of descriptions. Now, the title. The title, as we know, Night of the Scorpion. So, you can call it a misleading title, a kind of a deceptive title, or a misleading title. The reason is that the poet is actually not talking about or not concentrating on what the scorpion is doing. Okay, so from the title it appears that the scorpion is the central or it takes the center stage, but no. So over here also I have written that the title is deceptive because it is not the scorpion who takes the center stage, but the poet focuses on the reaction of different people to the sting of the scorpion. So scorpion stings in the very beginning. In the very first stanza only, we come to know that the scorpion has bitten and the sting has entered the body of the mother. But after that, the scorpion just goes away. It recedes. But throughout the poem, it is about the way the people react to the sting of the scorpion that is important, and that is something that the poet presents to us. So this superstitious belief of people, when they come, they gather around the mother. It is the neighbors and the people who are living around, or maybe the people of the village. So they just come and they express their beliefs, whatever superstitions they believe in, they express that. So moving on to the third point, the first person narrator. So here the narrator is the child of the family. Now it, because it is the relation by which we know that the scorpion has stung the mother. So it is the child of the family who is the narrator, who is telling us about the events. But we cannot be very sure about the gender of the child, which means we don't know if it is the son or the daughter who is speaking, but it is definitely the speaker is the child of the family, and that is why it is the first person narrator. It is also important to note that the poet does not focus on the narrator's own feelings. So, even though the narrator is the child whose mother has been bitten by the scorpion, but the child's own feelings are not presented by the poet. So, the narrator does not show his or her own feelings and no involvement. So, the involvement is missing. But the narrator or the speaker is only reporting the observations. As I have already said, that it is the focus is on the reaction of other people. So what the narrator or the speaker is doing, the he or she is just observing and telling, observing and describing about the child itself, the speaker itself. We don't know much about the speaker. Then there are different poetic devices which the poet has used. We will see an example of simile, metaphor, lot of alliterations. Definitely you will see when we go on. And then there is the use of contrast. Repetition is one of a very important device that the poet has used here. So I hope you have got a bit of understanding of the structure, rhyme, scheme, narration, and the poetic devices. And now we will carry on with the poem. So here are the first few lines of the poem, and I'm reading. I remember the night my mother was stung by a scorpion. So, of course, no difficult words, very easy to understand syntax, very simple sentence. And in the very beginning only, we see how I is used. Can you see here? I. So, from the very first line, we come to know that it is a first person narrator, and we also come to know the relation with the victim. So the victim is the mother, and definitely the narrator is the child of the family. And again, I repeat, we don't know if it is a boy or a girl. So whoever the narrator is just showing a very keen observation and telling us about that one night. So definitely it is he is relating or she is relating the episode of one night. So everything that is happening in the poem is happening in that one night only. So it is the night of the scorpion. I remember the night my mother was stung by a scorpion. 10 hours of steady rain had driven him to crawl beneath the sack of rice. Parting with his poison, flash of diabolic tail in the dark room, he risked the rain again. Now see, in this very first portrayal, the poet has given us an idea of what has happened. The sting has happened right there in the beginning. There is nothing too detailed about how mother went close to the scorpion, or how accidentally mother might have maybe stepped on the scorpion, and how did the scorpion react. We just know that there is a lot of rain outside. So there is a steady rain, there is a heavy rain, and it has been going on for 10 hours. So, because of this rain, the scorpion has entered their house or the room where there are things, and especially there is a sack of rice. So, the scorpion is hidden under or behind the sack of rice. It has come there to find shelter. The scorpion has not entered the house on some evil purpose. Definitely, we know that, because it has come here just to find protection or shelter from the rain. But there is somehow something might have happened. Of course, the narrator does not tell us what has happened, how mother came near the scorpion, but just the scorpion came in contact with the mother, and it is out of its reaction Every animal, every insect has the instinct to protect itself. And when it seems as if it is threatened, so it might have felt threatened by the approach of mother unknowingly, and it stung her. And you can see here the poet also does not go in detail about the process of stinging. The poet, the narrator, just tells us very in a very brief manner that it parts with its poison. So parting with his poison, meaning to say that delivering the sting. A flash of diabolic tail. So of course we know that it is the tail of the scorpion which has all the poison, and it stings with the tail. But see the use of the term diabolic. It is important. Diabolic. And what is the meaning of this term diabolic? It means evil. And why is the tail of the scorpion evil over here? The reason is because it has the effect that the sting has. Okay, so because the tail causes painful, venomous sting. So it is a poisonous sting. That is why. And of course the speaker is the child. So the it because the scorpion has bitten the mother, so the child is calling the tail evil or diabolic. But please remember, it is the tail which is diabolic. But somehow in these lines we feel as if what the speaker is trying to tell us is that the scorpion is not that much as at fault. You cannot blame the scorpion. The reason, because he tells us in detail that there was a lot of rain. So the scorpion was almost forced to enter the house, or it was forced to enter the room because it had to protect itself. That is number one. Secondly, the scorpion was almost forced to sting again because it had to protect. It was threatened because a human had approached him, and it just had to sting. This is the instinct of the animal. And the speaker says he risked the rain again, and the poor animal had to go out again because it just stung, and still feeling threatened, it just ran out into the rain again. So in these lines we actually feel as if the poet is presenting the scorpion as a threatened creature, as if it is his point of view, or you can even call it a justification for stinging a human being. So a scorpion has not done it deliberately, has not done it because of some evil intention. It has done it because it felt threatened. Now moving on, you can again see further lines, and I'm reading. The peasants came like swarms of flies. So in the very first line, what do we have here? The poet's use of the term like and a comparison. So what do we call it? This is the poetic device of simile. So the comparison between the peasants who came. So these are the peasants. You can actually call them the neighbors. You can call them the villagers, whatever you can call them, all those people who lived around their home, their house, because the mother must have cried out loudly in pain. She must be screaming because of the agony of the sting, that people just came there. And the poet says, like swarms of flies. So they came and they gathered in the house, gathered in large number. So the reason that the poet compares people to a swarm of flies is because of the number and the fact that they have come together. And again it is saying, it is said here, and he says, and buzzed the name of God 100 times to paralyze the evil one. And see how the use of the word buzzed, and it looks as if it is deliberately that the speaker is using the word buzzed. It is as if the simile is being elaborated, because it is the flies. So what do flies do? Flies buzz. So it is as if the people are saying the name of name of God in one voice, and it is as if the sound of buzzing is coming from flies. And why are they saying the name of the Lord? They are speaking the name of God in order to counter the sting of the scorpion. And see how it is a metaphor which the poet has used in this third line, where the why is it a metaphor? Because it is a comparison, it is a direct comparison without the use of the word as or like. And in this comparison, the poet has compared the scorpion to Satan. See how you can actually say the devil also. So see how the evil one, who is the evil one? We all know that the Satan or the devil is called the evil one. And I'm reading the further lines. The poet says, with candles and with lanterns, throwing giant scorpion shadows on the mud baked walls, they searched for him. He was not found. So, the first thing, the human instinct is to kill the animal, the insect, or whatever has caused any harm or sting or bite. So, the first instinct is to kill it. So, what do? They go searching for the scorpion, the culprit, but he was not found, because we have already been told that the scorpion has again gone outside into the rain. So they have come with candles and lanterns, and see how again the use of metaphor. How does this make it a metaphor? Giant scorpion shadows. Of course, it is the human shadows. Why does the poet call the human shadows as scorpion shadows, and that too giant? Why? Because it is really not the shadow of the scorpion. It is as if the poet is trying to tell us that the scorpion is in the mind of the people right now. It is as if it is the great fear of this evil one which has stung the mother. So the fear is being called the giant scorpion shadows, even though there is no real scorpion there, because it is not found, it is written here. So he says that on the mud baked walls, they were throwing giant scorpion shadows, because right now they are panicking, they are in fear, and their fear is reflected in on the shadows. So this is a kind of a metaphor, a metaphor for the perception of the people. We see something as giant or as tiny. Sometimes it is only our perception. Sometimes you are just afraid of a small insect. So the size of the insect is disproportionate to your fear. sometimes a child is afraid of some very small insect and we say, "Arey, ye to bahut chota hai. This is such a tiny insect. Why are you afraid of it?" Because it is not the size, it is the perception. So perception of that scorpion, the fear of that scorpion is much great. It is greater than the actual size of the scorpion. So giant scorpion shadows. Now let us see what the further lines tell us. And I'm reading, they clicked their tongues. Also note, please note that just look at the line length. This line and the other lines, the length really varies. That is why in the beginning only you were told that this is a free verse. The poet has really not concentrated on, or you can say not bothered about, the line length also. What he is concentrating upon is to present the actual observation of how these people might be behaving, because they are kind of illiterate or quite unknowing, unscientific minded, superstitious group of people. So that is what the poet has focused upon, on the reality, not the just an artificial scheme or rhyme scheme of the poem. So I'm reading again. They clicked their tongues. So clicking of the tongues is a sign of disapproval. Why are they clicking their tongues? They are disapproving, or you can also say they are regretting. What? What are they regretting? Both the bite or the sting, okay, and also that they could not kill the one who is responsible. So they cannot even get the satisfaction of killing it, even though killing will not change anything. Okay, killing, the woman has already been stung, she is already in pain. What can killing of that animal do? It cannot help the victim, but still it gives a kind of an covert satisfaction. But right now they are clicking their tongues because the scorpion is nowhere to be found, and they cannot even get the satisfaction of killing it. So the speaker says they clicked their tongues. With every movement that the scorpion made, his poison moved in mother's blood. See what we were saying right now, that how can killing of that creature help the mother? It cannot. Scientifically, the poison has already entered her blood. So wherever that creature might go, nothing changes regarding the pain that the mother is feeling right now. But according to their superstitious belief, the more the scorpion moves, the more its poison will move in mother's blood. Is it scientific? Is it logical? We will say no, it is a completely superstitious belief that with every movement that the scorpion made, his poison moved in mother's blood. So that is the reason they were searching for it, so that they could kill it quickly and so that it would not move too much and the woman would not feel the pain, and of course the danger of the poison moving further in her blood would also be reduced. But unfortunately they could not find it, and that is why they are clicking their tongues. And then the speaker says, "May he sit still," they said. Now, please note, another device is in play. You will see how the word may is being repeated, and it will further also, in further lines also, it will be repeated again and again and again. And also, they said, the use of the term they said. This is another poetic device, or you can say the poetic device of repetition. Another term that is used for repetition is anaphora. So this is the poetic device of anaphora, repetition. Sometimes The poets use repetition for the purpose of stressing on something. Here, the repetition or anaphora mostly serves the purpose of a chorus. It makes it as if this is some kind of chanting. They are saying things together as if they are not speaking but chanting some mantras. So this is the kind of effect, the effect of a chorus, the effect of a collective chanting, of a group chanting. This is the kind of effect that the poet is trying to डू जैसे हम कोई कुछ लोग 10 12 15 20 लोग इकट्ठे कोई मंत्र बोल रहे हैं, जैसे कि उसको बोलने से ही सामने वाला ठीक हो जाएगा. इट इज एज इफ दे आर चैंटिंग इन ऑर्डर टू रिस्टोर द हेल्थ ऑफ द मदर. So that effect is being created by the use of repetition or anaphora. Now let us read what these lines say. May he sit still, they said. And why do they wish the scorpion to sit still? So that it does not move, and the poison also does not move in mother's blood. This has already been explained in the previous line. May he sit still, they said. May the sins of your previous birth be burned away tonight. They said, may your suffering decrease the misfortunes of your next birth, they said. Now look at these 2 points, point number 1 and point number 2. So what are they wishing? This, with the use of the word may, of course we also get the idea of wishing. They are wishing for her. They are praying for her. They are chanting for her. And what are they saying? That may this sting relieve the sins of your previous birth, and also to decrease the suffering of your next birth. So because you are suffering right now, and who is you here? Who is the person? Who is the character? You. Of course, it is the mother who has been stung by the scorpion. So, what are they trying to say? That because it is the suffering that mother is facing, suffering of mother, that pain will relieve the sins of the previous birth and the suffering of the next birth. Now again, if you look at it logically or scientifically, this does not make any sense. She is suffering right now, but what does that suffering have to do with the past, and that too past before this life? So previous birth and next life, afterlife, next birth, which definitely is an idea which itself does not have any constructive logic or any science behind it. No science has ever told us if there has been a previous birth or if there will be a next birth. So this is not something which is related to science, but this is definitely related to the superstitious belief. We have already been told that they are just villagers, and we can presume them to be very superstitious and maybe illiterate also. So they are linking the pain to the previous and the next birth. And please remember these points, point number 1 and point number 2, because we also have a point number 3 in the coming lines, which again I have a point to make here, but we will do that when we read the next lines. And I'm reading. May the sum of all evil balanced in this unreal world against the sum of good become diminished by your pain. May the poison purify your flesh. And this is point number 3. Now we have 3 points here to discuss. The first, as I said, was it will take away the pain that you are feeling right now, will take away the sins of the previous birth. Number 2, it will reduce the suffering or pain of the next birth. And number three, which we have just read this, it will, the third point, purify the body. So, purify the body or the flesh, as the term which the poet has used. So what are these three things? These are not this is not scientific, but this has definitely something to do with human psychology. Even if we leave the point of superstition behind, we must try to understand that this is a what are superstitions about. Sometimes they are just about human psychology, the human brain, the mind trying to find some answer or relief to something which is unexplicable, something where we become helpless, we cannot help, somewhere to elevate our suffering. So when we are in pain, we are in trouble, superstitions help to relax the mind, to take our mind away from the pain, and that really works. Sometimes it works. So don't look at it, these 3 points, from the point of view of superstition, but from the point of view of human psychology. So what can we say? That when what is the human mind like? The villagers are trying to look at three outcomes that come from mother's pain, and all of them seem to be positive outcomes. There is nothing wrong in our sins being taken away. There is nothing wrong with our suffering being taken away, and there is nothing wrong with purification of the body also. So we are looking at three positive outcomes which are coming from this painful event. And what does it help the human mind to do? It helps the human mind to find something positive in distress. Just like it is said that to every dark cloud there is a silver lining. कुछ बुरा है तो उसके पीछे कोई कारण होगा, कुछ अच्छा होना होगा, भगवान की कोई इच्छा होगी. It just gives us some strength that there must be some positive reason behind this distressing or painful event. So right now mother is feeling pain, and what the people are trying to do is to give her some hope. They are trying to give mother some hope that don't worry if you are feeling pain right now. This pain is helping you in some way. In what way? In these three ways that the poet has listed over here. So if we look at these lines again, these lines, 5 lines, what the people are saying, that may this pain balance out any evil or any sin that you might have committed in the other world. So it will almost balance things out. Pain and evil will cut each other out, and she will be a purified person after the pain has gone. And I am reading the further lines. May the poison purify your flesh of desire and your spirit of ambition, they said. And see how they said is repeated and may is repeated. So anaphora is going on. And they sat around on the floor with my mother in the center. And see, in the depiction of these people, even though initially the child believes that all of these people have gathered here like flies disturbing the mother, but the truth is that even though they are superstitious, and even though they are helpless right now, what can they do? They cannot even kill the scorpion, but at least they are there purpose with the purpose of doing good, with the purpose of helping. And it is as if they are providing a kind of moral support. So the attitude of the villagers, we will never doubt it, that they are here in this time of need as good neighbors do. They are here to help. They are here with the willingness to share her pain. So they are here with the willingness to be with her in this time of pain, share her pain. So this is definitely one of the characteristics which the speaker focuses on. And they sat around her on the floor with my mother in the center, the peace of understanding on each face. Please, I will ask you to look at this. The piece of understanding on each face, more candles, more lanterns, more neighbors. So, more and more and more people are coming, more insects, he says, and the endless rain. And outside, the rain is beating down, it has not relented. The scorpion is still there outside, somewhere in the rain. Maybe it has found another shelter, but the mother is writhing in pain. And please remember this, the term that I have encircled with red, the piece of understanding on each face. They all understand the pain that mother is facing. But here I will be pointing out to the poetic device of contrast. As we move on, please remember the piece of understanding, because it will be contrasted with this, the groaning of mother on the mat. My mother twisted through and through, groaning on a mat. So, this is the contrast that I was talking about. This is another poetic device which Ezekiel has used here. The peace on the face of people around her, and the pain and groaning that mother is feeling right now. She's groaning on the mat, and the people are sitting around here watching her in peace. They are understanding the pain that she's feeling, but of course the pain that she alone has to suffer. So this is the contrast that the victim and the viewer, that is how it is being depicted. And then comes another character which the observer, the speaker, is telling us about. It is the father. My father, skeptic, rationalist, trying every curse and blessing. And father is not superstitious, father is rationalist, father is a believer of science, not of superstition. So he is not praying, he is not chanting, he is there, skeptic of whatever these people are doing and chanting, but he is trying every curse and blessing. Whatever is in his hand, he is trying, because he is also helpless right now. He cannot administer to her something which will give her immediate relief. He is trying some powder, mixture, herb, and hybrid. He is trying remedies that he can find at home. Of course, he is no medical practitioner, he is no doctor, he does not know the exact medicine that will take away the pain, but he wants to do something apart from this chanting and prayer and superstitious talk. He wants to do something. He is preparing homemade powders and mixtures and herbs and plant extracts and things, but nothing is working, because he is also helpless. He does not have the know-how and the knowledge and the medicine. He even poured a little paraffin upon the bitten toe and put a match to it. He is also trying some remedy he might have heard about, of using a fire, or using flame, or you can say using heat to do away with the poison. But unfortunately, it is not going to work. It is not working, because this is not an antidote to the poison. But this is the characteristics of the father, how he is presented, even though he is no medical man, but he is trying his best. But unfortunately, he cannot do anything. But he is different from the crowd that is sitting around mother right now. Please also note the use of alliteration here: her and her sound, herb and hybrid, per and per sound, pod and paraffin. So there are a lot of examples of alliteration. Even in further lines also you will find alliteration. There are a few examples of alliteration in the previous lines also. Um, so alliteration, which means repeating of initial sounds of words. Initial sounds means first sounds, her, per, and per. When such in this way, when words which are very close to each other in the same line, if they have same initial sounds, then we can say that this is the use of alliteration. So the sound is repeated. So this is how father is reacting, and we come to the last part now. I watched the flame feeding on my mother, and maybe this is for the first time that the speaker has referred to his own reaction, because in the whole poem he was just, or she was thus, just because we don't know if it is the son or the daughter, that the child is just telling us about what other people are doing. He- the child himself or herself is just an observer, and it is just helping us to sketch portraits of people around mother, be it father or neighbors or villagers. So here for the first time it is the speaker's reaction, but no pain or detailed emotion is being told about here. He just says, I watched the flame feeding on my mother. So, why is the flame feeding? And of course, I will not fail to mention that fur and fur sounds are repeated. Again, it is alliteration, just like I had explained to you in the previous slide. So the flame is feeding on the mother, and what is the meaning of the flame feeding? That it is increasing her pain. Father has tried to use heat and fire to cure the poison, or maybe to reduce the sting, but unfortunately it is only increasing her pain, because that is not a medical uh, a cure. And I watched the holy man. Now there is another holy man over here. So in the crowd there is a priest also, and the priest has been called to say prayers for the mother, and the holy man is performing his rites to tame the poison with an incantation. What is an incantation? Incantation is a chanting. So what is the priest doing? The priest is doing some ritualistic chanting in order to draw out the poison. But of course, we know that it is not working. Nothing is working. After 20 hours of agony, we can imagine the kind of pain that this woman might be feeling, nothing helping her, no prayers and no homemade remedies are helping her. After 20 long hours of struggle, it has finally lost its sting, and the woman, at least she lives. Thankfully, she survives, and now for the first time, it is the mother who is speaking in the last three lines. So the poem ends with the last three lines, and these are the best lines of the poem. And these are the lines for which this poem has been praised and appreciated. The very poignant ending that the poet has given, the reaction of the mother, because she has been the victim and she has not been able to speak or express herself up till now. Only in the end, after 20 hours of long suffering, she has finally gone free of the poison, and she is expressing her emotions for the first time. We expect such a person who has been suffering for so long to be bitter about it, to complain about it, about the suffering, the pain, and the agony. But she is a mother. Don't forget, she is a mother, and the only thing she says is that my mother only said, thank God the scorpion picked on me and spared my children. So just look at the character of the mother. She perseveres and she bears her pain. Ultimately, she triumphs also. She is the winner because she lives. She has survived. So she triumphs, and the only words she speaks throughout the poem is these lines which we are reading right now in the end. They are not of bitterness. Please remember, even though she is a victim, she has no complaint. They are not words of bitterness, they are not words of complaint, they are just words of gratitude and words of relief for her children. So these are definitely lines which a mother, an all giving, all sacrificing woman can say, can even think about, because it has been a horrendous experience for her. Even after horrendous experience, her words really make her a very loving, a noble, a selfless woman, and we can look up to her for the way she is thankful and not complaining. So, this is the poem, and I hope you will enjoy it when you read it again. And I hope you have also understood it. Thank you very much for watching the video.